Hey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and then ring the bell for notifications, all that good stuff. If you'd like to make a comment, if you'd like to do whatever the hell it is, just do it. Thanks.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. You know I be on a what? Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. It's all hard, ain't no fear here. You ain't giving this at all, you steer clear. Never beat, I've been down and I reappear. You got some money on the line, you better.
This is the Candyman from Studs Racing. We've got tires, and tires. We've got big ones, small ones, street ones, off-road ones. Oh my God. Why do we have so many tires? Tires. We have so many enough tires. Tires. Come on and get your tires.
Oh my God, we got so many tires.
Tires. Come see us. Dearborn Heights, Michigan, studsracing.com.
You've heard the expression where there's smoke, there's fire, where there's a lot of smoke going on in the AV. I've got the head fire starter with us on today's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. Don't miss it. Hey everybody, welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast, Season 8, Episode 7. We're back in the garage, guys. We're going back to the old school. I want to thank all of our sponsors who make this podcast possible, our friends from studsracing.com. Check out our friends at gopowersports.com, our friends at GTS, and our friends from gokartusa.com. All of these sponsors are names that you guys all know and love. You'll have a chance to see them up close and personal. October the 14th at Joe's Minibike Reunion at CV Park. Guys, if you had not yet registered, go to the website, joesminibikereunion.com. You can click on the different options that you have. You can save a little bit of money. I've been having a lot of activity with registrations. I've also had a lot of guys asking me about, hey, are there any discounts? Like I'm with the 605 Minibike Club, or I'm with the folks from Minibike Mafia. Look, yes, there are discounts for those of you who are in a club. So if you're Ronnie with 605 Mini Bikes and you and 20 of your other guys want to come to the show, at some point, whether it's Mario or whether it's Scat Boogie, designate one guy in your group. That guy's going to get with me. He's going to say, hey, Joe, I've got 20 guys with 605 that are coming in. And depending on whether you want to go on the dyno, whether or not you just want to come in for the down and dirty, which means you just bring in your bike and you get a goodie bag and you have a good time. You're not judged. You're not eligible to win prizes. You just get in. Or if you want the full boogie, you want to have your bike, you want to be eligible for the prizes, you want to be eligible for the judging, and you want to go on the dyno. So there's different packages. Down and dirty, you just get in, you get a goodie bag. Register, and you're eligible for everything. Register, and then add, I think it's $10 if you want to go on the dyno. So there's three options. If you're with a club, you know I'm going to give you the love, right? You're going to get a discount. So if it's $30 for regular guys and you're with the 605 guys, you'll get a special rate. So have one designated person reach out to me. I'm talking with the 605 guys as an example, but I'm talking to Ozzy and a few other guys. All you guys who are with me, all you guys who I ride with, you know me as well. Just let me know. If you're with any club, we've got discounts for you because we want you to come. The thing is that everybody's going to come this year. That area that used to be wide open is now a little bit tougher to get to. So register early. You'll be ready to go. You'll walk up. Mikey will be there with your goodie bag. You'll get through there. Before you know it, you'll be in the show. It's easy breezy. I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you. A lot of excitement so far. Speaking of, I want to thank our friends from Go-Kart USA. Yesterday, this truck shows up with a brand new Trailmaster 7-horsepower go-kart. I spent some time last night trying to assemble it. It was easy to do. It's a stout little piece. I think that this is going to be something really cool that somebody unexpected is going to win. Imagine this lined up with an 8-inch GTS full roller. Imagine that sitting next to a built Predator and a built Tillotson. I've got pipes out my ass. I got pipes coming from everybody. Jake Mo Fabco. We've got them coming from F&B. I've got the guys from Fastlane hooking me up. I got some gift certificates today from Coker Tire. The guy who owns this beer, who owns Green Filter, he was over here today. He's going to send me like 50 filters. Do you remember last year when I was walking around JMBR? I was just handing out filters. Look, it's all about the fun. Judging. I fucking hate it. I hate it. Really do. Because I want you guys to come to be with each other. That's to me what it's all about. It ain't whether or not you won a trophy. But I also realize that trophies are a part of the deal, right? So I used to do first, second, and third in each category. And guys, you know I had like a zillion categories. I was there way too long giving out these trophies. That's not why I do this. So I edited it down. You're going to get one first place trophy for each class. One trophy. No second place, no third place, no thanks for showing up. None of that bullshit. You're going to get one trophy. I'm going to do my best, like I always do, to find the guy that I know owns the class. So like if I'm going to have a custom bike judged, it's going to be fucking Jake Mo. If I'm going to have a Honda Z50 old school, it's going to be my guys that know that. I'm going to have the best I can judge. Don't give them an ear beating. When they're judging your bike, dude, the last thing I want them to have to deal with is you telling them everything you did to it. I'm going to give you a yellow card that you put on your handlebar. The judge, you don't have to be there. In fact, I prefer that you stay away from the bikes. Let the judge just go judge your bike. He's going to put a sticker on that yellow card, which means it's been judged. Now, sometimes towards the end of the show, maybe you came late or for some reason the judge was getting high and he forgot to judge your bike. I give you like an hour window to let you know that if anybody's bike wasn't judged, let us know and we'll come over there and we'll make sure it's judged. So we're going to have an edited version of judging. We're going to have some great prizes. Pre-register. I'm telling you, the reason why you should pre-register is that when you get there, dude, the last thing you want to do is wait in line to fill out some stupid form. You show up and you're pre-registered, you go to a different line, everything's waiting for you, you go right in. We have refreshments. We've got Bruce's Barbecue. We've got, I had a taco truck and it was great. I look forward to having them there. They sent me the menu and when I looked at the menu, I had to fire them. Like, I don't know about you, but when I order a taco truck, I don't think about like garlic fries or garlic this or garlic that. I think like tacos. And I hate garlic. I'm the only Italian you know that doesn't like that shit. So I don't want Joe's Minibike Reunion smelling like garlic fries, so I fired her ass. I'm looking for another one. There's a guys who did tacos at the Steady Garage function that takes place during Super Sunday. I'm working on it. But let me tell you, the barbecue guy, Bruce, you may not want to look at a taco after you have the barbecue that he has. So I'm doing the best that I can so we have stuff. You can bring stuff if you'd like as well. And bring your kids. It's a family deal. Whether you've got one kid or got 6 kids, I want them to come. I want them to be a part of this event because it's all about the youth. And you know who I'm talking about, right? All right. So enough with the housekeeping. It's hot. It's sweaty. This reminds me of the old days when Eva Led and I would sit here and do the podcast and talk to the F&B guys or Charles Mosley or, I don't know, all those old school guys. It's funny that it was 8 years ago. It's also pretty humbling, too, because when you think about the event is going on its 11th year. And you know what? After 11 years, it's finally starting to hit its stride. This was far from add water and fucking watch it grow. And it's largely due to you. To most of the folks that are watching and listening, thank you for that. I have a poster that Emmanuel and I are creating that recognizes what I think, along with many of the other folks that help with JMBR, collectively who we feel are the top 50 personalities of all time in the mini bike industry. And guess what? It is a little slanted to the West Coast because I don't know anybody really on the East Coast like I know everybody on the West Coast. So there are going to be a lot of West Coast folks because I personally know them, but it's not as if they shouldn't be a part of it. Those of you who were invited to be a part of it or were waiting for some of your headshots, if you're listening and you're one of those guys that are outstanding, send me a headshot. This poster is going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. Last year, the guys from Steady Garage handed out a nice little poster, so I like the spirit of that. So we're going to continue that. We've got a few other surprises that I'll save for the next podcast. In fact, keep an eye out for the upcoming podcast with another guy who he claims to be a video creator, but he's much, much more than that. If you look up the word passion in the dictionary, you'll probably see a picture of this guy. He's Minibike Tommy. He'll be a guest on the next Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. At this point, I'd like to bring in the man who's making a lot of things happen out there. He's on fire. You may have heard him on the podcast before. I've known him probably for about a handful of years, maybe 5-6 years. He's Arleau Davis from the AV, Arleau built. Arleau, welcome to the podcast. Good to see you again, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here. And it is always a pleasure, of always seeing you.
You sound like the dude from PM Dawn. Remember that song for all you old school guys? Arleau, so look, I had you originally slated to be on the podcast. What was it, a few months ago?
Yeah, it was about a few months ago.
And we had things happen. People drop out, studios aren't available. Things always happen. And we rolled with it. Thank you for the flexibility, brother. It's always nice to have that. And it's good to see you. There's been a lot happening with when you hear about you nowadays, it's all about 105. That magical number, which some folks still question, but we know that it's true. You're known as a small block builder extraordinaire. You've been doing it forever. You do it because you love it. You were doing it before it wasn't cool. A lot of highs and lows over that time. A lot of time out there in the AV, probably with you and just one other guy. And now all of a sudden, it's all coming together. You're pulling the numbers. You're a star on social media. You're sought after. Talk a little bit about the beginning up to what's happening now. It's been a little bit of a long road for you, huh? Hopefully a good one.
Yeah, so it did start off a little bumpy. And what I mean by a little, it was very rough. LA kind of started a thing where it was like AV versus LA. And we didn't, me and MoFab Co. and other couple other guys, we ended up coming up with, AVR basically. We gathered all the fastest people who was technically serious about racing and that wanted to advance and not, stay where they are. And so we, basically originated that in 2018, but I was already dealing with bikes and all that stuff since I was 12. So
how did you get started at bikes at 12 years old?
At 12, so basically where I grew up, it was a lot of mini bikes. A lot of older generation had mini bikes, and my mom, she just felt like that I was just a little too young. It was too dangerous to basically have a mini bike. But I fell in love with mini bikes ever since I was about 8 years old. That was probably the first time I actually rode one. And I already told myself, I said, as soon as I get enough money, I'm buying me a mini bike. And the day came when I was 12. So basically, I still got that same bike too.
What was it?
It was a Temecula Bob.
Wow, your first bike was a Temecula Bob?
Temecula Bob.
Did you buy that online?
Nope. So basically, as a kid, when you don't really have money like that, you got to utilize your hands and what you do. So I had a BMX bike. I broke the BMX bike apart, sanded it down. I painted it zebra style, right? And I posted on Craigslist for trade or, for sale. Some guy in Palmdale, he had a go-kart and he wanted to trade. It was a complete roller, had a motor, everything. And I said, okay, can you drop it off? He said, yeah, no problem. He came and dropped off the go-kart. And from that moment on, that's when I was actually able to grasp an engine under my own hands. And basically the motor didn't work. So I basically took it apart. I did a lot of homework and really trying to dial in and figure out what it was that I was trying to do. So when I put it back together, it fired right up first pull, and it lit up a light I
What you were doing?
I lit up like a Christmas tree. And so basically, my uncle, Papa Smurf, he ended up needing a go-kart for the live axle in the back. And he was like, Neff, I got this bike, but, you know, I don't need it. I need a little bit of work, but I don't need it. I need that cart more than I need the bike. And I'll be willing to, you know, trade you. So I was like, man, I really want a mini bike. So we ended up trading. And then so basically he made me a rear wheel for it because it just didn't have a rear wheel. He welded me up a hub and everything, and basically that was my first bike.
So you got the Temecula Bob bike that Papa Smurf owned?
Yes.
Gotcha. Papa Smurf traded that Temecula Bob bike for the go-kart that you traded for the bike.
Yes.
So what was that engine? Do you remember the engine that was in there? That would have been the first one that you first got your hands on rebuilding?
The first engine that I
was that
rebuilt,
one? Was that it?
No.
Oh, okay.
The first engine that I rebuilt was a 5.5 clone motor. It was a knockoff Chinese, probably the cheapest of the cheap on the market. I would probably say it was under a CMT motor. It just literally had no name.
So let me ask you something. You finally get the mini bike because you're in the same situation as everybody else. You want them before your parents are okay with it. You want them when you don't have the money. So once you've beaten your parents up over and over, crying and whining about getting one. If you got a little bit of money, typically you'll be able to get in one. So you went through the rite of passage, right? You finally got to that point. You just don't wake up knowing how to rebuild an engine, especially to the scope that you ultimately are now as one of the premier engine builders. I mean, I think of what you're doing, and there's parallels. There's big names out there where you're right up in there. So was that a natural gift for you, Arlie, or was that something that you learned through jumping into it?
It was my natural calling because, like I said, as a young age, ever since I was a kid, I was always passionate about mini bikes. I knew that that's what I wanted.
Well, so was I, but not to the and it was easy to fix the chain when it broke or swap the clutch. All kids love mini bikes. You know what happens when you pull the head off one of those things? Those fuckers run in the house. No one wants to put back an engine. It's easy to take it apart, but you separate yourself from the pack when you're doing that kind of work.
I'll say this, basically just to, bring it down a little bit. Certain stuff is it comes really natural for people. And when you have passion behind it, it's endless, right? So it's like I tell people, nice. For me, I'm a builder. I know I'm a builder. You know what I'm saying? We can have a conversation of many hours of why I can explain that. I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to become a tattoo artist the next day because somebody else did it. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
My handwriting is garbage. I can't just say I'm going to just become a tattoo artist. It's not my calling. It's not something that clicked with me.
Got it.
So the more and more that I understood what I was doing with as far as the engine is concerned, my heart was in sync with everything I was doing. I wanted to learn, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to better myself. I wanted to take it to the next step. I always proceeded with caution when doing things because I'm one of those type of guys where I like to do it right, do it light, and I do it wrong, do it long. And that's just a motto that I go with because it's when you do stuff wrong, it's wasted money and it's very expensive in this industry. So,
plus there's a safety element. Safety, which is more important than either of those two, right?
My main two rules, especially when I'm building, is always going to be number one, reliability is what you're going to get from me. Always number one. Probably fast will probably be the last thing, but it's definitely going to be reliability and guarantee, and then fast.
Nice.
I got to make sure it's reliable first, and I got to guarantee that it's going to be reliable, so that way I could guarantee that it could go fast safely.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I also implement safety. I'm really big on that. For me personally, none of my bikes, I have no donuts on the back. I have all wide tires only for the simple fact that something may weird happen, something may be on the road, something obstruction or something, just that extra tire grip in the back that can really help you. You already fighting in the front. You don't need to be fighting the bike in the back and in the front. So
you're none of the wheelies, none of the burnout, none of the other nonsense is in your focus. It's just about building that best bike, the safest bike, because it's not only affecting that jockey, it's your customers,
the investment,
right? So it's all of that. Plus, it's one of those things where you get that reputation as a guy who does shoddy work. Dude, everybody rolls their eyes when your name comes up. You put out some stuff that you've taken the time to do right. That's your meal ticket because that'll be your reputation, which you've had. So from going from an upstart to now the guy who is building the motors that are going 100 plus, as that's occurred from the beginning to now, let's look back at some of those things that you think were those light bulb moments for you. When did you get to a point where it's okay, I'm up here at the AV with a handful of guys that are really serious? And, we're talking about what? Guys like Jake Moe, for example. Who else are some of the guys that...
Big Zoom,
Okay.
Charlie, Lil Zoom, Sal, Simon.
So you got a group of those guys now that are they're all in it to take it to the next level, working
Basically.
together, right? So you're doing it now. And while you're doing it, there's a bunch of other little orbits and other folks with the same like-minded plans. You've got you've got engine builders like MDB. You've got engine builders like Big Daddy. You've got Big Belly. You've got a lot of other guys doing the same thing. When did you start to cross path with those guys, and what's your relationship with some of those guys, for example, like Big Daddy or Charles? Do you guys have an open relationship? I know it's competitive, I know all that, but do you guys talk shop together? Do you guys swap information, or is it a little bit secretive? What's the vibe there with you guys?
So basically, like me, as far as like in the industry, going in on that, a lot of people don't really, they thought I just came out of the blue, but in reality, I was always in plain sight. Like I said, I was young, so.
Out of sight being because you weren't running down on Anna Street.
Yeah, I was out of sight, out of basically their face. And for a while, I was only on Facebook. Facebook and Instagram is two entirely different platforms.
We found that out.
Everybody's more like on the West Coast is mainly on Instagram.
Right.
And then everybody on the East Coast and kind of the little West Coast is on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
we found that out too with Joe's Minibike Reunion. It was largely Facebook for a while.
Exactly.
And now it seems as if wherever the new stuff's coming from, it's Instagram. But anyway, sorry about that.
So basically, Mini Drag Bike Charles, we've been talking ever since I was basically 11.
Okay.
So we've been having an established relationship for a long time. Like we always used to talk about engine building and, do's and don'ts basically.
Constructive.
And, he, personally, like he just said this on Day-Day's live. He went over there to go see him and check him out or whatever, and he was just saying, like, most people don't know, but like, I've been knowing him for years, and like, we always used to talk about engine building, and he was basically saying like he knew that I was always capable of doing what I was doing.
You recognize the talent.
Exactly.
Yeah, good.
So basically, like, me and him, we have a not so much as competitive, but we are rooting for each other type of relationship.
Like a bigger brother, maybe?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like that'd be my uncle, because he older than me, so on and so forth. So.
Well, speaking of, what about you and Unc?
Which one?
Big Daddy.
Okay, so like me and his relationship, we really don't have a relationship. It's kind of like
You know each other?
Yeah, we do, but not like on a level like that. It's kind of like a high and by. With him, it's kind of like he always wants to like be a little bit more competitive, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's racing at the end of the day, but we don't really have a relationship like how I have a relationship with
Charles?
With Charles.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I have zero relationship with Big Belly. I've probably never had a conversation with him ever.
Yeah, well, he's kind of a quiet guy. We had him on the podcast. In fact, you and I were talking about the time we had that engine build on site. I had a chance to run into Big Belly quickly at the recent GTS Hobbies Picnic. I'm a big fan of Daryl's for all the obvious reasons. We've had Charles on the podcast countless times, and things happen over time. I guess the reality of it is that deep down, whether folks are talking with you or dealing with you, or it's hi or goodbye, or if it's nothing, we're all still in this, Yeah. And one thing that I can say is that, what's the expression? Even your haters, if they're still checking in on you, they're fans, brother.
Yeah, basically.
So a lot of people got at you after the 105 run. And again, I still want to stay on that growth chart where you started off, you're kind of out there in the AV, you're not exactly where the spotlight is. The spotlight's more LA than Palmdale, Lancaster, right? We know that. But you're still like a little silent assassin making this shit happen. When does it get to the point where now you're up there with the big guys? When did you get that feeling that there was no more this Arleau, this guy that kind of a hidden gem up there in the AV? When was it that you brought your game to Anna Street or Mansville, so to speak?
It would be when I finish Red Snapper. That would be Little Zoom's bike. It was a 2.9 stroker stock billet head. Wasn't nothing really special, but it was a perfected combo. And so basically we debut, before we debut in Compton, we do all our testing in AV because that's where we reside. So we tested, bike ran good, ran great. And we already knew it instantly. We had enough willpower to come down and come correct. Because we don't like to come half-ass, So we came correct. We ended up racing like a 3-inch stroker, cast head. It was a bigger motor, but we really didn't care. We just wanted
Who was the jockey?
Big Zoom. It was Big Zoom versus Drew.
Give a shout out to Big Zoom.
Drew from Riders Only was on the crew that we was racing. He was the rider on the bike, and Big Zoom from AVR was on our bike on a Lil Zoom 2.9.
And who'd you guys go up against?
Riders Only. The bike was owned by Little D, but
Shout out Little D.
Drew was riding the bike though.
Okay.
From Riders Only.
So that turned out to be a pretty good day, huh?
It turned out to be an eye opener, a game changer, and it just shows you that like racing isn't always what it is. The fastest bike doesn't always win, and just like the fastest car don't always win. And instead of like most people just pouting and basically just tucking their hands and going on their way, it made me more hungry on what I needed to do. His motor was basically a blueprint to the whole recipe of what I have now. So I appreciate and I thank him repeatedly for giving me the opportunity to let me build his motor. Because, just because somebody may be buddies, and that's like an ongoing thing in today's industry, just because somebody's buddies doesn't necessarily mean they have to be entitled to build something with you.
Sure.
That person could go to Daryl, that person could go to George, it could go out of state.
Dude, I'm a great example of that.
You can't tell a grown man what to do with his money.
No.
However, it is a thing where in the West Coast mainly, if you get a motor built by me specifically, anything that's not LA area, it's very bad, and they try to make people regret their decision. But in reality, they wish they would have that type of, just that type of confidence to do what they doing.
Yep.
And that's what they hate, and that's really what it is. And like I tell my customers this all the time, I'm like, it doesn't really honestly matter if you're part of a crew. If you're part of a family, because that's what we call it. AVR, our crew is a family. We don't consider ourselves just a crew because we do stuff outside of racing. If I could call you and we could talk about something that's other than racing,
sure, man,
it's entirely different.
True friendship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a different entity. So I tell my customers, I'm like, you guys are a crew, but you guys are in a brotherhood. I said, so just keep in mind, just because you guys are from the same crew and you're doing XYZ to get your crew faster and get your name out there, some people in your crew may disagree with how you came with your approach. They may hate on you. They may be mad that you went this
There's
route.
no may about it. They will. They do.
Basically is what I'm trying to say. But like, I have to explain this to my customers because I've seen it happen repeatedly. And
so someone shows up with an Arleau built engine, and he runs up and somebody's got their engine built by Big Daddy or Big Belly or pick a name. They're all going to talk the shit because it didn't come from where they came from. So look, and that ain't nothing new to mini bikes. Mm-hmm. You can check that out anywhere. Your group, your guys, your core guys now, I get the sense like this Batman team is so you're doing the engine stuff. Jake is Jake the chassis guy? Is that kind of the tandem with what you guys are up to?
Jake's 100% the fabricator.
One of the best?
The best.
Yeah, there you go.
I would call him the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, it is definitely like some fabricators out there that is really good with their hands. And the only reason why I would rank him as number one because he's versatile with what he does. Like, you'll give him an idea and he could snapshot that and give you exactly what you picture image to him. And not everybody, like going back to what I was saying, passionate and understanding what it is that you're trying to do, not everybody has that adaptability to do that, you know? So
yeah, he's not only does he have that talent, but you know, far beyond whether you've got a nice bike or you take good videos or put on good shows or fucking podcasts.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, who really is Arleau? Who is Joe? Who are these guys outside of that shit? Because the commonality we have are the bikes. But if you take the bikes away, like, would you still be with that guy? Would you still be hanging with him? Jake's one of those guys where it's definitely a yes.
Yeah, it'd be a yeah.
You're another one too. These podcasts are kind of short. We're kind of winding down. I did want to touch on something before you bounce out. Also want to give a shout out to Lil Zoom. I know you brought Lil Zoom with you. We try to have AVR Zoom and I believe Lil Zoom as well at one time. And as we talked about, even with you and I, schedules got screwed up a little bit.
Schedule, yeah.
Plus, if you turn me down, fuck, are you going to the back of the bus? And that's where that's where they were. Like that's where Zoom was. He went way to the back of the bus. And I love Jake. All Jake had to do is say, "Hey Joe, move him up." So we went to the back of the bus. So we'll move him up now because I met Lil Zoom and he's cool as could be. I got to have him on. But before we go, once you did 105. And let's keep this short, though. How's it changed since? Phone ring a little bit more? A little more pats on the back? A little more social media hits?
It's more hidden pats on the back.
Oh, got it.
Like I was saying,
Nice.
A lot of people can't be like, yo, like, you know, so and so, like straight up. It's more like a, yo, like let them know, like, you know, I said, like, you know, it's kind of like that. And
we're weird, aren't we?
My phone is ringing. I thought like posting a 105 pass would have been like really positive for us as being the West Coast with that,
right?
You know, being the first ever to do it.
Yeah,
we as a collab unit got that. Can't nobody take that. And in reality, it was completely opposite. It was like, oh, the number was fake. The gun was dead.
Sure,
you did half a mile.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. Hey, if I did half a mile in 10.5 seconds, then, I mean, I really wonder what I did in the quarter at that point. Like, I mean, I don't know how much more proof do you really need.
Well, how about this? I don't care if you take 10 miles an hour off of it. I don't care if you take off 20. Dude, I've been on even my little bike that goes 65 or 70, you know, the Temecula Bob bike.
Yeah.
Going that fast on those bikes is something.
Yeah.
Check out the videos. What's the best way for folks to check you out? Is it Arlie_built or what's your Instagram handle that you like?
It's Arlie built.
Great. And do you like folks to get a hold of you that way?
Yeah, that's my business page. So I like to keep everything all dialed in. I have it all set up nice to keep track of all my customers and, you know.
That list growing nice for you?
Yeah.
I hope I can get on it.
It's growing really good. And
Jake had that Tillotson that we bought some parts from Studs. He was selling it for me for the Go-Kart USA, that American racer. You may have seen it in the shop.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we've got a couple other things going. Maybe you and I get a little something. Yeah, one with the electric start. Now I got to deal with the battery and all this other bullshit. So it's all life and fun of a mini bike guy, right? Mm-hmm. Arleau, look, man, good to see you again. Love to hear.
Appreciate you. Likewise.
Yeah, man. Good catching up. Say hi to everybody out there in the AV. You said you guys are going to be coming strong to Joe's Minibike Reunion. I appreciate that in advance. Anything else you want to give a shout out to anybody or anything else maybe that you wanted to bring up before we close it out?
I basically want to give out a shout out to the whole AVR family, Minibike Tommy, Jay-Z, Big Milt, Derek, basically everybody that put faith into me and rallied behind me and see the vision, and we on our way to the top.
How about your family?
Definitely number one, big shout out to my wife and my daughter. They are like the number one supporters, and they're probably the number one reason why I'm doing this.
It's been fun watching you grow. You got props from me all the time. I like to try to be Switzerland. You know, I try to be friendly with everybody, regardless if you're competitive engine builders or whatever. At some point, we're just humans, and you have a natural inclination to feel comfortable around certain people. You're one of those guys with me, so thanks for being on the podcast, Arlie. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, we'll see you on October the 14th. Hey, folks, if you've been with us, you've been listening to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast, Season 8, Episode 7. We've been with the man, Arleau Davis, Arlie Built. You can check him out on the Instagram. 105, that's a lot on a mini bike, a small block billet specialist himself. He's here. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Once again, I remind you guys, check out joesminibikereunion.com. You can register your bike for the upcoming event. A lot of good things happening there. If you're in the hobby and you would like to send me some decals that I would put in the goodie bags that all the participants get, if you could send me at least 350 up to 500, your choice, 350 minimum, you can direct me. I'll give you an address. If you can send them to me by September the 15th, I'll put them inside the goodie bag. And I'll stay on the goodie bag for 1 second. You guys who bitch about spending $10 or $20 to come to my show, stay home. The fucking goodie bag is worth $50. I make it a point to make sure that you guys are just spending that money the best way you possibly can, having the best time you can. So this goodie bag is full with all kinds of cool things. I'm going down to Mother's Polish to pick up a bunch of stuff there. It seems like I've got 4 or 5 or 6 stops. I'm stopping at GTS to pick up the roller. Everywhere I go, I'm collecting shit to give to you for giving to me and being a part of Joe's Minibike Reunion. Check it out. Keep an eye out as well for an upcoming podcast where we'll be featuring Minibike Tommy. And again, you want to talk about somebody that's got some passion for this hobby, you think you like mini bikes? Psst, check him out. Thanks for listening, everybody. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Go Kart USA, Studs Racing, our friends over at Go Power Sports and Go Kart USA. Sign up today, I would. See you next time, everybody. Thanks for listening. And thanks for watching. See you next time.
Joe's Minibike Show.